after the tragic sin of the golden calf, in which the Jewish people stumbled and they worshipped a molten calf, there's a fascinating dialogue between God and Moses. The Torah tells us, and this is God speaking, he says to Moshe, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people, and now desist from me. Let my anger flare up against them, and I shall annihilate them, and I shall make you a great nation. Moshe pleads before Hashem, his God, and he says, why, Hashem, should your anger flare up against your people, whom you have taken out of the land of Egypt, with great power and a strong hand? The Torah tells us famously these words, Vayachel Moshe es panei Hashem. Moshe pleads with Hashem. He goes into this powerful, intense prayer in which he pleads on behalf of the Jewish people for God to intervene and to save them. And Rav Shimshon Pincus, of blessed memory, says an incredible thing about this idea. And he says the following. He says that all these verses here, they explain to us how Moshe Rabbeinu was Moser Nefesh, how he really gave it his all, this prayer on behalf of the Jewish people to save them from the danger of extermination after the sin of the calf. That we learn a lot about the nature of prayer at this very dangerous time. And he quotes the Gemara that we just read in Daf Yomi maybe about a month ago, in which it teaches us in Brachos, page 32, that when Moshe saw the great anger that Hashem had towards the Jewish people, he was speechless. He couldn't say anything. There was nothing, that he couldn't even be moved to speak. He was shocked. He didn't know what to say. And essentially, he says to himself, as the Gemara tells us, you know what? It depends on me. I'm the one. I need to stand up. I need to strengthen myself in tefillah and davening, and I have to ask Hashem for mercy. So it says, Rav Pincus says that when we find ourselves in difficult circumstances and situations, in circumstances where we're weakened, where we don't have even the strength to speak, it's hard for us to even open our mouths in prayer. We're just shocked, we're stunned, there's nothing really to say. He says this is sometimes what happens to people who are embittered spirits, who maybe there's such anguish, such stress, such broken hearts, that they feel like they're so far away that they can't even speak. They can't even open up and ask Hashem for anything. They can't speak. They're confused and bewildered. And he says this specifically is the time, Rav Pincus writes. He says specifically in this time is the time you need to arise and get up and be strengthened in prayer and supplication. And in that merit, your prayer will be accepted. And this is what God was teaching Moshe Rabbeinu. As the Torah goes on to tell us that Hashem listens to Moshe's desperate cry, the cry Moshe gave out of such despair, Hashem listened and he answered the prayers. And not only that, the Torah tells us after those prayers are answered that Moshe is saved, Moshe then says, Hashem, harini nas kvodecha, show me your glory, show me yourself. Moshe doesn't just stop asking, that the Jewish people should be saved. He then goes on and asks for more. And Rav Pincus says that that's a very powerful idea, because when a person is praying from a point of pain and fear, that's such a powerful prayer that it opens up the gates of prayer in such a way that we can even go above and beyond and ask for everything else that we need as well. And Rav Pincus says that when a person cries out to Hashem for healing, for health, that the prayer should be accepted. Even after the prayer is answered, that it's appropriate to even ask for more. And I think right now, just reading these words with everything going on is very, very powerful. I remember yesterday I was in a meeting, I think from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock. And after the meeting, I turned on my phone and I looked at the news, and it seemed like the world caught fire. Within that 1 hour, the NBA canceled its season. Tom Hanks and his wife were diagnosed with coronavirus, and there's no more flights to Europe and from Europe, not to mention the stock market on levels that are unprecedented. And honestly, I was in a state of bewilderment and confusion, much like the way that Rav Pincus describes how Moshe felt after hearing Hashem's plans for the Jewish people after the sin of the calf. And how powerful it is, what Rav Pincus says, that we learn from Moshe, that now is the time more than ever to cry out to Hashem, to pray on behalf of our community, to pray on the behalf of humanity, that Hashem should intervene miraculously, he should make this stop, and he should protect all of us, and God willing, we will be answered. And we understand also based on Moshe that now it's called an es ratzon. Now is a time when we're asking from this place of anxiety and fear. Now is the time to ask Hashem for everything. Now is the time to ask Him for Mashiach, to ask for our health and our parnasa, our sustenance and our livelihood, and everything that we need. Now is the time to open up to Hashem and to beg Him everything that we need. So God willing, we should have a beautiful, healthy, safe Shabbos, and Hashem should shower His compassion upon us like He did to Moshe previously, and we should all be blessed with a beautiful, healthy, uplifting Shabbos and spring ahead.